about the Fussy Librarian, and I was looking on their website.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking notes as you were talking, and you mentioned something like 2, 2, and 1.
Yes.
And then above the 2, the 2 and the 1, I put like 1 month, 1 month, 1 month. And I can't decode my notes. I have to decode everything else.
Sometimes I have trouble decoding myself too, so don't worry. So when you sign up for KDP Select, you get 5 days where, 5 free days.
Okay.
So what I recommended was that you separate those into 3 promotional events. So
Okay.
and it's 5 days per 90-day session, because KDP Select, you're committing for a 90-day period that's
Right.
going to be exclusive to Amazon. So it's 90 days, worth of time where you get the 5 days. So by doing 2 days, 2 days, and 1 day, it gives you an opportunity to use those and kind of spread them out through that period of time.
Okay.
1 day might be a great opportunity for you to use a free day for family, friends, authors that are going to get on and do part of your soft launch with you, and they're going to go download your book for free and review it for you. And you're still in that soft launch phase, so you're asking people to give you feedback, to give you, let you know if there's any issues that need correcting before you go full steam ahead. So some people use that 1 day for that. Others will just ask people to, who have Kindle Unlimited during that soft launch, to then download their book and go from there.
And run it for the 2, when you said 2, 2, and 1, you would have the first 2 days, the first 2 days you'd run it for 2 days, and then sometime during the 90 days you'd run it for another 2 days.
What I would do is, if I was going to use the 1 day as a soft launch, I would start with the 1 day, and then I would do a 2 day and a 2 day over the period of time. It's wonderful to be able to get, a bunch of downloads, and then have an opportunity to use those, to get reviews and get your ranking up, because it drives traffic when you first initially release your book.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's see, we have 13 so far, and we usually have a lot more. So we'll wait up for a few more minutes if you'd like before we get chatting with Ashly. Oops, admit all. I guess I get a bunch of people in there waiting, and I'm snoozing. There we go. It's been a while since you've been in one of our meetings, Ashly. How far back was it when you were attending these work group sessions?
I was just back in May.
Oh, okay, May.
So
it feels like forever ago.
Yeah, I feel like this project has taken a long time. So I'm trying to stretch it out as long as I can.
Yes, 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 yes.
This is kind of cool, Ashly. You and I both have Disney Christmas shirts on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mine has Pluto on it, so it's dark in here, but I'm just feeling a great vibe here. So.
Thank you, Sarah.
Ready for this meeting. I was like, oh, nobody here cares. I can wear a t-shirt and I don't need to brush my hair. And
yeah, no, I think it's perfect.
Very welcoming here. I like it.
Laura says Christmas is 104 days away. Why do you know that, Laura?
Because
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I keep a Christmas tree in my room all year round because, I don't know, Christmas cheer is always a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
No worries.
Sorry, I keep muting and unmuting because I have all of my kids home right now. Normally they're at like sporting events or things when I'm on these meetings. So if I keep like muting, it's because there's a lot of yelling going on.
All right. So Ashly, you're going to share some things that you've been working on. and some of the stuff that the activities that you've been doing, because we recently met, and this is kind of how this came about, guys. I recently met with Ashly, and she showed me some updates that she had completed with her press kit. And then she also showed me a little something that she was sending out to people. And I thought it was really cool, and I hadn't seen anyone do anything like that before. So I asked her if she'd like to drop in and kind of just share her experiences and what she's been going through. And she said she'd be glad to share. So I'm going to allow Ashly to go ahead and introduce herself, and then maybe share your desktop, Ashly, and some of the stuff that you've been doing, because these folks in the work group are now at a point where they're thinking about and starting to work on press kit. They're thinking about marketing, and their heads are spinning. They're starting to feel a little stressed. You know, it seems like every work group round about halfway through or just before halfway through, it tends to start feeling overwhelming. And so I thought, you know, that would be a good opportunity for you also to kind of just share your experiences and how you've been able to kind of overcome some of that to move forward in the way that you have.
Yeah, so I did this work group in May, and I mean, just to let everybody know how slow I am at things, I just finished my media kit like 3 weeks ago. Wouldn't feel overwhelmed and like you have to get it all done in a day. It definitely took me a lot longer than that to get motivated. But I will share, I don't really know what to say about myself. I'm writing a book called, well, I wrote a book called A What Chin. It's about a little boy who has a butt chin. And he basically was told by some kids that he had a butt chin, and then he took it really personal and, you know, decided that he was going to think of a creative way to get rid of this chin that, you know, people were making fun of. So it's kind of a funny story, and then there's a sweet lesson at the end about just kind of accepting your flaws or the things that you're insecure about. But I can share my screen and share my media kit, and then I'll just have April guide me through because I'm definitely not much of a speaker.
You're fine. This is you stepping outside your comfort zone, Ashly. I'm so proud of you.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
I love
a picture of a what chin.
Yeah.
Okay. So cute. So I'm like a super simplistic person. I don't like a lot of extra things going on. So I just kept the start of my media kit very simple. It's literally just the cover of my book, and then the title, who it's written and illustrated by, and like a sentence synopsis. So, and that's kind of just how I introduced it. And then I keep it simple throughout the entire media kit. The reason it took me so long to get this done was because I was waiting for some illustrations back, and that's kind of a slower process that we've been working through. So I only have like 7 pages back of illustrations, but I went ahead and pulled as many snippets from those 7 pages as I could to put on this media kit. And I think it's perfect. I don't really need the whole book back by any means to be done with it. But I started with my title page, and then I just did a quick book description, and April had suggested doing something short and sweet, and then giving a little bit more insight. I thought that was a little bit difficult just because my book is only like 270 words. And so to write a whole long paragraph about something that's very short and simple was a little overwhelming for me, but it's just a couple sentences and we worked it out. And then I just put some pictures down here. I am not the best at figuring out how to do things. So like, it looks really great like this, but these are all like full spreads that I resized and played with for hours to create this like just very simple feel. After I did my description page, I just did like an inspiration behind the book and then about the author. And I tried to keep some photos thrown in there just because I had initially done a quick media kit and somebody said it felt very serious. So I figured if I threw some illustrations on every page, it wouldn't feel so serious.
I love it.
Thank
It makes
you.
me smile every time I'm looking at some of these illustrations. They're so cute.
And then for the questions, what did you initially call the interview? Okay, so for the author interview, I just put like a little Q&A because the way that you described it, it kind of sounded like if somebody were to write a story, they would just want some simple questions that they already had feedback on. So this was just kind of some quick things. Do you have a wet chin? What do you hope people get from your story? What sets your book apart? And I actually took some of these ideas from other people who had created media kits in the last group. I kind of went through and pulled up everybody's media kit and I was like, which questions do I like and how could I, change it to fit my story?
Yeah, that's all the more reason why I think it's a great opportunity as you guys finish your kits, your press kits, post them in the group because you're going to help someone else. You'll get great feedback from people in the group who have an opportunity to review it and provide you with some insight, maybe some tweaks on your wording. So it's a great collaboration.
Yeah, no, definitely. So April had suggested doing 2 pages of this. So that's what I did. And I wanted people to know that I had free resources on the site. So I kind of pulled in like a how can teachers utilize your book? And then I added like, I don't know, a photo of just some of the pages that I put together for people. And then the end is just really my contact information. And I'm happy I'll share this on your guys' group site. I mean,
wonderful. Thank you, Ashly.
Everybody else's, for example. So I just finally finished.
And I really love for you to share some of the things that you created because those free giveaways that you have on your site. I thought they looked fantastic when you shared them with me. If you wouldn't mind kind of showing and sharing that as an example, maybe even posting those for the group as well, just to kind of think about how they might use something similar for themselves.
Yeah. So let's see.
Sonia's asking, do you use clickable links in your media kit?
No, I don't know how to do that.
Sonia, if you want to learn, I've added clickable ones to mine. 'Cause I didn't even know that was possible, so I was playing around with it. So,
okay. Do you know if that's an option on Canva, or do you have to have a special? Sorry for the screaming. The kids are still awake. Is that an option in Canva? And if not, do I need a special program?
Honestly, I don't know if it's an option on Canva, but you can do it for free on Google. What is Google Slides? It's like that's what I did for my gratitude journal. I'm happy to walk you through it sometime if you're interested.
Yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity for everybody to understand more.
Yeah, it's super easy.
And Rebecca says, if you have no graphic design experience, would it be really challenging to make something like this? Ashly, since you really don't have any graphic design experience, what did you use for kind of the template, the layout of yours?
So I don't have any graphic design experience at all. I literally just went to templates and then I just like picked one that I kind of liked.
And this is Canva, by the way, for those that don't use Canva. It's a great free resource for you. There is a premium one, which you can pay a little bit extra for to get some more templates and, nice additional images and things like that, which is very, very much worth it for anybody that I know that's been using the premium version. So just putting newsletter, oh, that's nice. Because I was putting I think when I did it, I was searching for media kit or press kit, and they do have templates for that. I hadn't thought about using the word newsletter and coming up with samples, newsletter layouts, because that's a really very similar to what a press kit would look like as well.
Yeah, so I found like if I just find a template that I kind of like, and like I said, I just like simple. So what I would do is I would find something like this, and then it automatically puts all of this on here. But say I want to get rid of the leaves, I literally am just clicking each leaf and deleting it. You can move all these boxes wherever you need to do. And I love that it lines it up for you so that you don't have to worry about it being like uneven. But I mean, that's pretty much all I was doing, was just finding an already made template, and then plugging in my pictures where I needed to, plugging in the text that I needed to, getting rid of the extras that I didn't feel like I needed. And I don't have any design or graphic background at all. I literally just used, I mean, photos that I have saved in my computer. Like I showed before, like when you actually click these full photos, it's actually a full spread. I just cropped it to where I wanted you to see. And I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but I don't know how. So,
and with Canva, what I really like is that you can download things in a printable PDF version. So you've got, you know, a high quality print version that you can use if you wanted to print it yourself. It's also, you can create a PDF that's you know, that you can share with influencers. And that goes such a long way when you're contacting somebody and asking them to do something for you, share your content or collaborate with you. When you have a professional press kit like this, it's very well received versus just contacting somebody in their direct messages and trying to explain what you do, who you are, and why they should work with you, when something like this can answer all those questions and make it look very professional.
yeah, so one of the pages that April wanted me to share was, I just finished making my website with April, and I was trying to attach something free or exclusive for people who are subscribing to my website to see. And I don't have any coloring sheets or anything like that, just because I'm still getting my basic illustrations back and I don't want to overwhelm my illustrator. So I kind of just thought, what can I use that I already have? And I thought maybe I could just offer up some like exclusive information about my book. Kind of like the background of things that went on behind the scenes. So that's what I chose to attach in that just welcome letter. It was like, thank you for subscribing. And then it had this attachment, and it's just some exclusive info, like some of my cover options that we went through, why I chose the background that I ended up choosing, how many edits we made on our storyboard. And I kind of just used some pictures of that and resized them very small. I talked about our character revisions, because we actually went through character revisions 4 different times. And I could have included more photos of like the process, and maybe I'll go back and make more, but like I said before, I like to keep things very simplistic. So I figured just enough photo to maybe draw people in with just some short pictures. And then I included some almost choices. Like we almost did a red hat as our cover instead of the yellow hat, and we almost didn't have a hat. And then an image that I really love that almost didn't make the cut because of some feedback I had gotten from people that I know from home that said like, oh, the text doesn't really match the image, but why I chose to keep it anyways.
I just love this, the behind the scenes stuff, and you know, I think this is very valuable. If I receive this after subscribing to your mailing list, I'd be really excited. And what I think this does very well is it gets people to have an opportunity to come along on your journey and feel like they've been with you for the whole time, even though they might be just subscribing now.
Yeah, I will say the only thing that I've really struggled with making all of this stuff is I'm a nurse and I'm not writing is not like my baseline, and my grammar and punctuation and things like that are pretty subpar. Um, so I'm always very nervous that I'm going to like throw one of these out there and someone's going to find a bunch of errors. But I downloaded, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it for those of us that have an editor like Bobby Hinman, and you know, sometimes an editor will take this stuff and go through it for you. I know Bobby does it at no charge for books that she has edited. You kind of get Bobby as your editor for life. So she'll go through this stuff and give you the proof. And whether you're uploading something like this or a press kit or something where, you know, you've got a product description or a listing page that you want somebody to have another set of eyes, it's always good to either post it in the work group for others to look at, or you know, send it to your editor and have them do a final pass through it.
May I make a suggestion?
Absolutely, go ahead.
I doubt anybody is worse at grammar than me. There is a software called Grammarly. It will save you a lot of nerves, and it will save Bobby a lot of time. Because it will suggest where articles have to go, where endings may need to change, where, you know, commas have to be and stuff like that. And it's free, actually. I mean, I think they do have paid version, but that is very convenient. And now it is also checking my emails.
Right.
I'm happy you suggested that because I actually downloaded it yesterday. But I only have it on my phone. So I was like trying to pull up Canva on my phone and was like clicking each paragraph to see if Grammarly would change anything. And it did find errors. So I was happy for it, but I wasn't sure how accurate it was.
It looks pretty nice. And trust me, my grammar is non-existent. So you're good.
Well, thank you. Okay. And then the last thing that I think I made. Oops. Oh, okay.
Ooh, a lesson plan. That's cool.
Yeah, I made up a lesson plan for like teachers or counselors or parents. And I just went to Pinterest to see what a lesson plan has on it. And I will say that this one took me a lot longer. I got the idea from, I don't know if any of you are in the Facebook group for like children's publishing, but Nikki Philippone, how she has all those free resources. So I was like, oh, I should come up with something. So I went to Pinterest and just kind of got some ideas of what lessons plans have on them because I'm not a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I threw something together and I actually sent it to some friends that I have that are teachers and got some feedback and then tweaked it to what they thought would be best. And that just has like some objectives and sight words and vocab. And then I included 2 activities, and they're kind of self-esteem activities, you know, taking a minute to read these phrases. What would you do with them? Would you throw them in the trash, or would you know, keep them? We don't want to hold on to things that aren't positive because that's just part of the message in my book.
That sounds a lot like Sonia's messages with Dax in her bubbles. Dax in his bubbles. So it's so funny how so many of these messages that we have in children's books cross over. And it just makes me think that there's great opportunities for us as a children's book, a group of children's book authors to cross promote one another and maybe even, you know, work together for giveaways or, you know, sharing blog posts on one another's blogs, or just getting together with some sort of a giveaway or something, because so many of you have messages that really resonate with the same community, the same small niche.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And my message is very subtle. Like I don't feel like it's anything that really stands out until you get to the end of the book and you're like, oh, that's a good subtle message. So I kind of had that discussion with teachers, and they said that it would still be okay as long as I geared all of the activities towards what I wanted them focus on about the story. So that's just kind of what I did. And I just finished reading The Giants and the Smalls, and it was a self-published book by Nicholas, I think, Townsend. And I liked that in the back of the story, it had guidance questions. You know, what kind of questions could you discuss with your children after reading the book? So I kind of thought I might add some of that in here too. But
Ashly, Rebecca's asking, how do you plan to use the lesson plan? Are you offering it for free on your website? Are you expecting to share it with teachers?
Yeah, I'm offering it for free on the website. Right now I'm kind of trialing. Marketing has been like the biggest nightmare for me because it's just not anything that I'm super into. But I've started to join some teacher Facebook groups and free lesson plan and free resource groups. And I've been asking, rather than putting this out here right now, I've been asking what kind of resources teachers need. Towards teachers, they really need something specific, because I think that would help me draw them in. So right now I'm kind of trying to work on building those relationships with teachers, seeing what they need, adding anything that they might need. And then I plan on going back once my website is launched and it's a little bit closer and saying, hey, I have all of these free resources. You're welcome to use them. I have them up on my website already, but I'm having some issues with the downloads. So hopefully when I'm ready to actually offer that up, it'll work and they can just come to the website. Hopefully I'd like them to subscribe to it to be able to use these things just for my own benefit. But that's kind of what I plan on doing, is I plan on offering it for free. I'm back and forth about whether or not I should offer so many copies of a free PDF book for teachers or counselors also.
I was toying around with that too, and discussing it with a number of other people who have had similar questions. And one thing that I think would be really cool is to include it as part of a virtual author visit. So they get all the resources, they get they would get free ebooks for their class, and they would either pay for the author visit or you would do it at no charge, depending on what what you wanted to do with that. But if you make it part of an author package, an author visit package, where they get all this free stuff, maybe get a few copies of your book donated for their library at school in the classroom, you might be able to put a package together where you can make a profit and you can still get ebooks in the hands of the children. And at the end of the ebook, maybe there's something that drives them for a special where you get to get their email address. Maybe there's a coupon for the hardcover book or for the print book. It's something to think about. I think that with all of the stuff that's going on today with homeschooling, lots of teachers are trying to figure out what they can do. And even homeschoolers, where they have pods where they kind of work together, are all looking to figure out how they're going to fill some time and get something special for the kids that they'll pay attention to.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking. I would like to offer it free. Part of me was like, maybe it can be part of my launch where I say, hey, I'm offering all of these free resources. You're welcome to use my ebook for free in the classroom. If you could just leave a review, maybe that could help direct some people to give some reviews. But I haven't decided yet. I'm still a little ways away.
One other tip that I have heard from others who have done a lot with school visits and virtual visits is asking the teacher to provide you references of a few other teachers or librarians who might be interested in hearing from you or in doing something with their classrooms. And they were saying that teachers are very happy to share, especially if they feel like they've gotten a really good value, then you'll get leads out of it. With every virtual visit or classroom visit that you do, you end up getting a handful of references you can reach out to. And sometimes the teacher will even, make that introduction through an email to connect you with other teachers that are also looking for help.
Oh, okay. Well, April, is there anything else that you wanted me to pull up? I think that's like the gist of what I really have.
Yeah, let's open it up for questions. Does anybody have any question for Ashly? Feel free to take yourself off of mute if you'd like.
Ashly, that looks really good.
It's Jazz.
Thank you so much for sharing. Can I just ask, how early, can you hear me?
You're very low.
Okay, is that better?
Better, yes.
Okay, just how early on before your book is complete have you finished this?
I'm hoping that I have all of my illustrations back by the end of this month. This is my illustrator's first book too, so I actually started this process before meeting with April. So we kind of did a little backpedaling, reworked some things, and then started moving forward again.
Yeah, that's like me a bit.
Yeah. So I didn't have like a full-blown plan. We just wanted to release by Christmas. And so we had wanted to be done by the end of this month. I think we'll probably end up finishing the first week of October though. And then we kind of run into that awkward area where I'm on vacation the second week of October for our fall break, and Halloween is that last week of October. So I was kind of thinking I might launch on like November 1st, just because I know that, I really love holidays. So I'm like, ooh, it's Halloween. I'm going to be, doing things, even if I'm not, because everything's closed down. I'm like, I'm not going to want to worry about any of this. So I was thinking November 1st, and then that still gives me time to get everything out before Christmas. But it's been like 8 months.
8 months of having the press kit finished, or just 8 months in the process of making it?
8 months in the process of making it. I've only had the press kit finished for, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. So in all, maybe that for 2 months or 3 months before you release the book.
Yeah, and I've started to send it out this week. This is the first week that I've sent it to anybody.
So in April, does that sound like typical? Like, is that?
It's a lot longer than I would have liked to see, but I think that different people go at different paces, and there are especially busy moms that are going through things and need to work on this part-time, and they're doing full-time work, and they've got kids to juggle. So sometimes people are just, life happens and they need to put a pause on things or just go slower. And that's perfectly fine. Ashly, do you find that, what do you think contributed to the extension in time? I know that it has been taking a little longer to get through your illustrations, but is this something that where you decided and wanted to go at a slower pace?
Well, initially I was being very lax. I really liked my illustrators. So I was like, whatever pace you feel like is good, I'm happy to work with that. So we were just very flexible anyways. I think we set it up for like 3 or 4 months. But then things actually happened with her. And I think some of that was COVID related. And some of that was me too. We're all busy individuals. I do think that the amount of time it's taken me to do all of this has been a little longer than I would do in the future, because I'm to the point now where I'm not going to launch this until November 1st, but I'm ready to be done with it. So I would definitely probably not recommend extending it out this long, but if you have to, there's no harm in it.
It sounds like you reduced a lot of stress by extending your timeline.
Yes, we did. Only at this point now I'm stressed because I'm like, oh, I have to keep up on my social media. So that's the stress of extending it, is I'm like, oh, what else can I possibly post on Instagram?
Right.
But
So what's your thinking about the November rollout? Is that just when the illustrations would be done, and then you're giving a little bit of extra time for layout of the book?
so the illustration should be done in October. So then I would hope that we could do the layout of the book and the formatting in October, and have everything finalized and ready. And we've looked at it all and we've perfected it. And then November 1st, I'm like, we're done with Halloween and we're moving on to the time of the year where people are going to start buying things for Christmas and, meeting with family. So I'm not sure as far as November 1st what I'm going to do.
Right.
But I know that that's when I would like to get it out there and post it online.
Yeah, my advice would be, if you can get something launched, even if it's just pre-orders by middle of October, you'll be able to get a lot more holiday sales, because it takes a couple of weeks for people to even know that you're out there. I'd hate for you to launch your book on November 1st, and then by the time Amazon indexes you and your ads start running, everything's connected, you're already well into the Thanksgiving timeframe, and then you miss out on the Christmas season. So I would be glad to work with you, Ashly, and do a coaching session just to kind of help you plan that out, plan the launch out. And then we also have Lori Wright that will be coming back. She'll be back visiting the author work group, not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. And she's going to talk about launch and planning for launch. So kind of like, what should you be doing now in order to get ready for a holiday season and for the release of your book. So that would be a really good one for you to drop in on if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked it when Lori came the first time. It was very informative. And I would like to get my website up and going. I meet with our tax consultant on Tuesday, and I felt like, we're publishing these books and we're like, oh, we're publishing a book, it's not a big deal. But I felt like there were a lot of financial things that I probably needed to get squared away and clarified before I put this out there, and then started selling things. And, I want to pair maybe some sweatshirts with a couple of my really fun illustrations. And so I just want to meet with him on Tuesday. And then once that's done, I plan on getting my website up and running by the end of this month. So hopefully, and there will be pre-orders on there, and hopefully that'll help me gain a little bit of momentum, but we'll see.
Great segue also for me to remind everyone and maybe give you a little information. I mentioned that a former student of mine, Misty Black, would be coming to visit. She has been, she's been releasing book after book after book, and is just doing a phenomenal job. But one of the things I found out recently about Misty is that she has a financial background. She has been creating, spreadsheets that she uses to keep track of the financials and to get ready for tax season. And she's going to be sharing her templates and her process and more information about what she does, both her journey on the books since she left the work group, but then also lots of great information that she's willing to leave with us with templates and tools to help us on our journey when it comes to financials, preparing for tax season, and all of that good stuff. So lots of great information. And she will be here on Tuesday. So definitely stay tuned with that. And I think that'll be a fabulous opportunity for everybody. And I don't have any spreadsheets for things like that. That's one area that I could definitely improve on myself for tracking all of that financial stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on her templates.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have talked about this at all, but one of the interesting things that maybe you could discuss a little bit that we just found out when I talked to the tax guy briefly was that I was under the impression that if you create an LLC, it protects you from any sort of liability. It kind of puts a barrier there between you and your personal assets in your book, and it keeps it all separate. But my tax guy had said, any really good lawyer can get around an LLC and still go after your personal assets. Not that any of us plan on getting sued, but I just am an anxious person. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, some psycho mom is going to be like, oh, my little son Ben is being bullied at school and, you know, being told he has a butt chin and it's because of your book. And then they sue me for everything I have. So he actually suggested taking out an umbrella policy for home mortgage. And basically it just costs a couple dollars a month, and it protects us for like $5 million if a lawsuit were ever to be made against us or our like personal properties or anything like that. And I posted that in a Facebook group, and I got a lot of really interesting feedback. So it was just something that I hadn't been aware of, that I was like, oh, I feel like more people maybe should.
Yeah, I've heard some of the similar feedback that you were saying, that you know, once you get an LLC, it does protect you from the, you know, from somebody going after your personal assets. So one of the things that I've been hoping to do is actually get somebody on the legal side who can walk through some things like how to set up an LLC, what things we need to think about, and how we can protect ourselves, what is protected under an LLC, what is not. So I'm on the hunt for somebody from a legal perspective who can address our group. But Ashly, I think for a couple of dollars a month, having an umbrella policy makes perfect sense, because even if you know, you don't need it, it's wise to have it. Whether that means, you know, you're teenage and you don't have teenagers yet, but believe me, they're coming. If they drive into somebody's fence or somebody's, you know, house, having an umbrella policy is really helpful. So it can serve a lot of purposes, and it sounds like that might be a really good opportunity also for people.
Also, April.
Yes.
April, I mean, also I think maybe adding like a little bit of a disclaimer doesn't hurt. You know, kind of like at the end of your book, kind of adding just a disclaimer on just what your message of your book is. And I mean, that might help a little bit. I don't know.
Agree. So if anybody has a contact on the legal side that you've been working with that you're really happy with, and you wouldn't mind sharing that contact information, I would love to do some research and see if we can get some more information.
What is an umbrella policy?
It's kind of, if I think about, like, here's your home policy, here's your auto, and above it would be an umbrella that kind of goes over both. So the auto might cover just specifically your auto policy. Your home policy is specific to your home, but umbrella just means like it's just over all of that, above and beyond. So let's just say, use the example that I gave. My teenager drives my car that's insured into somebody's house. My homeowner's insurance only covers a certain portion of that, but damages or injuries or things like that are much more than what my homeowner policy would cover. So then the umbrella policy kicks in and covers the rest. So it's just kind of like a little bit more of protection. And I think when we had our umbrella policy, I think we did like $1 million policy, and it was very inexpensive. So it's just in case your current insurance doesn't cover everything, and it does go into many different areas. It's every, you know, whether it's books or whether it's, you know, your author business versus your auto versus home, personal injury, things like that. It kind of just goes.
But it goes to you personally, not to your LLC, right?
You know what? I would.
Or
like
it goes to your LLC.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to answer that, but I'm not quite sure. It sounds to me like the advice that Ashly's getting is that it would cover both. It would cover your your LLC as well as you, the person, the individual. But I am definitely on the hunt to get us a little more knowledgeable on the legal aspects and the tax aspects of things as well.
And I know that sometimes when you do an umbrella policy, if your coverage on your car is not high enough, they'll want you to do a higher coverage.
Correct.
Like there are certain things that they want you to do before you can even get the policy, because we have older cars and we didn't insure them for very high, but they wanted us to insure them more before we could even get a policy. So they do have those kinds of parameters.
Right, I agree. Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, Ashly. That's wonderful. All right.
Ashly, how soon prior to your launch are you going to put out a press kit or media kit?
Well, I was starting to send them out this week. Really, I think April guidance is probably the best, because the nervous part of my mind is like, well, what if I send it out now and then people don't want to wait 2 months before the book comes out? So I don't really know when the best time to do it, but I'm starting to send it out now, thinking that if I'm sending it to influencers, it's probably going to take a couple weeks for them to find it. And then maybe it'll take a couple weeks for them to respond, or, if I'm sending it to stores, maybe it's a process to get into the store and then I could get that started. So I would say early isn't bad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just my 2 cents, Pat. I'm winging it, just winging it. But yeah, I got mine done. I'm planning to launch my Kickstarter October 3rd. I got my media kit done. It's been probably, I don't know, April, like 2 months at least. And as soon as I had it done, I started sending it out. I've had nobody say, oh, it's too early, get back, or if they're interested, they will say, yeah, I would love to get back in touch with me when we get close to your launch, and we will put something together. Or one media said, let's run a story now and then we'll rerun it when you launch. So if you have the materials, at least, you can start drafting it, put together what's on your mind. Yeah, my 2 cents, I'm winging it. I don't know, but that's what I personally have been doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. And I think that the sooner that as soon as you have your media kit, that you should start using it. And it could be as simple as just reaching out to other people that you might want to collaborate with, introducing yourself and talking about, when you might be launching, and just explain a little bit or just connect with people, because that's what Sarah's been doing, and it's helping. People are anticipating and, are going to be there to support her. She got herself on a podcast where they talk about her Kickstarter, and that's wonderful. She had, like she mentioned, a story was written about her and, what led to the creation of this book. And that started because she reached out and submitted her press kit. So it's not that you need a press kit to start making contact with people, but if you have one, it just brings more legitimacy to you. You're not just, John Doe writing a book and you're going to submit it yourself. When people see the quality of what you did, it just elevates their perception of you. And I feel that they will want to work with you when they see what you're putting together and they see the thoughtfulness that goes behind it. And it also gives you opportunities for collaboration that I think would be really, really helpful. I'll give you an example of something that I'm doing now. So we have International Doodle Dog Day. And all my books are Labradoodles, as you can see, like all around me. It's all Labradoodle stuff. So International Doodle Dog Day is Sunday, this coming Sunday. So I've been reaching out to people and connecting, and just like other influencers that are in the niche. Doodle lovers are fanatical. So it's kind of neat to reach out to people and say, hey, what are you doing for International Doodle Day? Can we collaborate? And sharing some of my, press kit or ideas that I have, I've been so amazed at how open people are to just getting together and collaborating, because they are especially with influencers, they need us, we need them, and we're able to elevate each other with some of the collaborations that we do. And I also want to invite the authors that I work with to join me for Anti-Bullying Month, which is October. So there are a number of you, and Ashly, yours with the butt chin and the what chin, that would fit really well into October, Anti-Bullying Month. So you might not be ready to release your book, but maybe there's something else that you can do. So just kind of putting together cross promotion where we all get together and we do maybe a giveaway or something special, or to all gain some just additional reach out there and partner with influencers that will help us get some additional visibility for our books. So those kind of things can come and go, and I know Sarah and I will be using some of the same things for International Doodle Day, and other people that have anti-bullying books will do that. Could be a blog post, it could be anything. And you can collaborate on blog posts, you can help one another. If, for example, I post in a group about Sarah Kate and her amazing Alice Eloise and Silver Linings, right? That's her book. If I'm posting in a doodle group about her book, that's wonderful. It's if I'm posting about my own book, it's self-promotional, right? So we can help one another get the word out about our books. We can share stories. We can share. We can add each other to newsletters. And when you think about it as just an opportunity to collaborate, when you're reaching out and you're developing relationships with influencers, and you think about it that way as an opportunity to collaborate and help promote that individual, and they help promote you, then it ends up being a very positive win-win situation. And you don't have to be worried about, is this person going to be going to accept what I'm asking them? You don't have to worry about reaching out, because you're saying, hey, what can I do to help you? I think, we have some synergy. I think your following would really love my books. Maybe I could give you some free books to give away. Maybe we could do some things together. And I also have followers and fans that would really love you as an influencer of Labradoodles, so just don't be afraid to reach out and to kind of go outside your comfort zone to set the stage, make some new friends. Think about it that way. And I've been really proud of Sarah for doing a lot of that. And I've seen a lot of you also starting to do similar things, just to make some changes that will help you open up your influence. Because you can become an influencer by just doing a good job making friends and influencing and helping others to get some additional attention that maybe they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Hi, I think I see Stacy.
Hi, I'm here.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're just chatting away. And the topic of, marketing and influencers and reaching out and trying to, at what time do you start spreading the word about your books and things like that. And I know for those of you that don't know Stacy, she is an amazing marketing powerhouse.
Yeah,
I've visited this group before. She is an active member on the authors, the children's book authors and illustrators Facebook group that's managed by Jay Maletsky and Diane Alber. And she also has marketing courses and offerings herself to help other authors. So she has been a mentor to myself and to others, and just a wealth of information and knowledge. So I asked her to come today and just drop by, share a little bit about her story and her journey. And we're all at the point now where thinking about marketing and thinking about getting the word out about our books is going to be really coming to the forefront very soon. And just for you, Stacy, this group this is week 5 out of a 12-week group. So we're kind of at that stage for the authors here where, you know, they've been pushing and pushing. Things are starting to get stressful. You know, they're starting to work with illustrators, maybe getting some frustration of things not moving forward as well as we would like, or delays that come in. And of course, we have the whole imposter syndrome that sets in about this time. So you can keep that in mind as you're offering some helpful knowledge and insight for the group.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you for joining us and welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's good to see all you guys. So yeah, as April said, I have a book series, Cami Kangaroo and Wyatt 2, and I published my first one in 2018, and I'm working on my 6th one right now in my series. So so you guys are at the point, so April, they have their stories edited and all that, and they're working on illustrations, so they're just trying to get the word out before they launch.
Right. I think, you know, some of them are at different phases than others. So they might be all over the place, and some are returning from a previous group so they might be further along than others.
Okay. So yeah, as far as the marketing I do, I guess I'll just kind of talk about launching books and marketing. And if you guys have questions, you just have them put the questions in the chat, and then I can answer those as I go, or how do you want to, does that?
You know what, before we jump right into the marketing discussion, Stacy, I would love to just back up a little bit and have you tell us, like, what got you started on your author journey? What have been some of the things that, you know, you really love about being an author? What are some of the challenges maybe that you faced that, so that I think many of us are also feeling the pinch of some of the same things. And I think it's always wonderful to hear your journey and, you know, your challenges and triumphs along the way. Because you said you have how many books now? 5?
I have 3 hardcovers, a paperback, and then the 2 activity books, and then I'm working on the Christmas paperback right now.
Nice.
So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and I've known April since the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right, April?
Yeah. You were one of those in Jay and Diane's group that was always there offering, you know, sharing your experience, your triumphs, and your you know, lessons along the way. And I think that's so important for all of us. Like, we don't need to be perfect. It's okay to share, you know, failures or stumbles, and we can be there to pick each other up, which I love.
Yeah. Okay. So I have two youngest children. They're 10 and 8, and I'm a teacher. So it's probably a similar story to a lot of you. I've been writing since I was a kid. I've always liked writing. I've always wanted to publish a book, but then, you know, I went to college and got my teaching degree, and I just became a teacher, and I had kids, and life kind of took over, and I didn't really do anything about it. Well, I was home with my son. I was home full time with my son 3 years ago. And, you know, my lighting is horrible in this room. See, this is one of the areas that I can work on. This is my office / the playroom of our house, and there's one light, and it's like the overhead light, and that's all we have. So I'm sorry about the poor quality of my face, but okay. So I decided, you know what? I'm home from teaching this year. I'm just gonna write a book. And I remember thinking it would be really easy, and I was just gonna write this book and somehow I would magically turn into a hardcover book. And I didn't even honestly think about even selling it, which sounds crazy, but I remember I didn't even think about it. I just thought, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to get it published, and I'm going to have my book, and then I'll be done. And here we are 3 years later, and I can laugh at how naive and kind of silly I was back then. So I wrote my rough draft, my very first rough draft, and then I remember sitting there going, okay, now what do I do? Because I didn't know anyone. That at that point I didn't know any authors. I was not in any author groups on Facebook. I didn't even know there were author groups on Facebook. I didn't even have an Instagram account, no website, nothing. I knew nothing about marketing. I'm a teacher, you know, I have no marketing background, didn't take any classes on marketing. I knew nothing. So I thought I had to like find an agent, and then, you know, the agent would somehow get me a traditional publisher and all that. And I remember I put out feelers to a couple of my good friends and family, and I said, does anybody know any authors? Because I really wanted, this is my goal. I really want to get a book published, and I don't know what to do. And one of my friends from work has a cousin who's an author, and I contacted her, and she told me, well, yeah, you're going to have to find an agent and a traditional publisher, but, you know, that is going to take years. So good luck. But then my sister said, actually, somebody I went to high school with just started her own publishing company. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh. And she's from my area. So I ended up contacting her. We had breakfast, and she actually helped me publish my first couple books and just kind of answered questions I had about things I didn't even know to even think about, like copyrights and ISBNs and Library of Congress control numbers and all those little like stuff that that doesn't even cross your mind when you're starting this process. So she helped me out a lot. So just making a connection with somebody who was willing to help. And then from there, I joined the big, it was the biggest one back then, just the children's writers and illustrators. And Jay was very active in that group, which is why he got kicked out and started his own group. But he was really active in that group at the time. And actually him and Diane were both running their first Kickstarter campaigns when I joined that group. And that's when I met them. I was like, Kickstarter, what's that? And I didn't know anything about that either. And so that summer, I again, didn't know any, I was completely overwhelmed. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to find an editor. I don't know any editors. I don't know any illustrators. I don't know how to make a website. I don't know anything. So I found Shayla Raquel, who is now a good friend of mine. She's an editor and a marketer and just knows a lot about publishing. And I paid for a 1 hour conversation with her, and she kind of gave me the rundown, like, this is what you need to do if you're going to self-publish. So I found some editors through the Facebook groups, and I found my illustrator on Pinterest because I did look for illustrators on Upwork and Fiverr, and none of them really clicked with me. There was a lot of digital work, which is great if that's your style, but I wanted something more traditional. And Rebecca's illustrations, I just liked her style a lot. And she was a newbie too. She had never done a book before. So both of us were kind of working our way through everything and trying to figure everything out. And then I found out how much it was going to cost for me to publish my book. And I said in my brain, okay, I don't have $8,000. Now what should I do? Because to pay Rebecca, and then you know, I could have done KDP. I knew nothing about KDP back then. And Jay and Diane were talking a lot in the group about hardcover books and how if you get accepted into Amazon Advantage, you can make twice as much money with your hardcover books than with your paperback ones. And everyone should do hardcover books. And so I was like, oh, I should do hardcover books. And so I decided to run a Kickstarter campaign. And so I spent the next 6 months preparing for that. So I built a really bad website myself because I didn't have any money to pay anybody and I didn't know what I was doing. So looking back, I should have just taken money out of my savings and hired someone because I wasted way too much time on my website. I started a WordPress site because I wanted a blog. And every time I needed to do something or add something, I had forgotten how I did it the week before, and I had to research it all over again. And it was just, it always, I tell everybody, I feel dumb when I work on my website because I just can't, for some reason, I'm not good at that. So anyway, I finally hired someone and she made me a lovely website. This is my life that she's talking about. Yeah, you're not alone. Most of us have been there at some point. So
I think it's so important to hear this because all of these authors that, I mean, I love the fact that we pull everybody together so they know that they're not alone. Look at what you had to struggle with, but people look at you now with the success that we've seen on, you know, with all of your Cami and Wyatt books and everything you've been doing. And it's easy to think, wow, she just knows what she's doing. She just got it right off. So that we can show people that no, it takes time.
Yeah.
And we're setting up our own support system here to help lift up one another and to, you know, walk through the process that we didn't have when we first got started. It's wonderful to hear this kind of backstory because we're all going through it. And especially the newbie authors here are going through similar things.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, I still get a little envious when I look at like authors like Jay and Diane who are such naturals at marketing, and it just seems like it comes so easy for them, but they have their own, I mean, they work their butts off, you know, so they have their own, you don't know what other people have been through and what background they have and what experiences they've gone through, and everybody kind of has their own walk and their own struggles. And so I did the Kickstarter, and it was like a month of complete crazy stress, 24 hours a day for a month, but I made my goal, and I was able to get 1,500 books published. So that's kind of what started me. So after that, I did the book launch at the local bakery because I had Cami Kangaroo has too many sweets with my book. So I did my book launch at a bakery, and it was super fun because, I did a lot of, so for launching this book, I did a lot of local publishing. So I made cute little flyers, and I put the tabs on them that had my website hanging down, and I went around town and I hung them up in coffee shops, any place that had like a bulletin board. And I never went back to see if anybody had actually used those. I'm not doing that anymore because it's kind of, it doesn't, well, for one, COVID, but it's like, I don't know how much, you know, if it was worth my time to drive all over the place like that. But at the time I thought, you know, I'm going to try to do as much marketing as I can that's easy and cheap and it kind of gets my name out in the community. I mean, I've been living here my whole life, and I'm active at church and I'm active as a teacher. So I figured, you know, people see my name, they might be like, oh, she's writing a book, maybe I want to support her. So I did the flyers. So think about, you know, what is your book about, what theme your book has, or what kind of setting it's in. So my book takes place at the dentist's office. So I contacted local dentists. So I called, emailed, and I actually went to local dentist's office, and I introduced myself, and I said, I'm a local teacher and I've always wanted to be an author, and I'm running a Kickstarter campaign, and a lot of them didn't know what that was. So I had magnets made ahead of time, and I got that idea from an author friend of mine. And it just had I'm trying to find one to show you guys, but of course now I can't. But it just had the name of my book on it. So it looked like this. Sorry, my lighting is really bad, but it said Cami Kangaroo has too many sweets. And it has my social media on there and the launch date. And I would just I would give these to everybody I knew. And I put these up in local shops, and I put out a stack at church, and I put a stack in the teacher's lounge. And I was even, I mean, I would bring my notebook and my laptop to like an indoor play area and be working on stuff, and people be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm a local author. Here's my card, you know? So, and I just said to the dentist, you know, if you're interested in this book, it's going to be about, you know, taking care of your teeth and eating healthy. And I actually got a dentist to order 25 copies. And then I got like 5 other ones to support my Kickstarter. So a lot of, you know, 90% of people say no or don't get back to you, but then you get a few bites and it kind of makes it worth it. So I did the book.
I love your tenacity. I love your tenacity. Like a lot of people, they have so much self-doubt, that they don't want to put themselves out there. But I love that you know, your feet were hitting the ground, talking to people, hanging up flyers, and I can visualize, but you had it in your mind that you were going to do this, regardless of how that scared you or, you know, kind of pushed you outside your comfort zone. But that's what helped really make your Kickstarter successful. Is
Right.
that
And, you know,
tenacity that you had and the ability to reach out to others and to get and I think the other part of it is that you are such a sharing individual and that you help others so much that people were there cheering for you and rooting for you. And I think the author community does rally behind folks like you.
Yep. Well, I think other authors, we get how hard it is, you know, and so we understand, like my biggest supporters are other authors, more than my family, more than my friends, more than anybody else. Other authors are the ones who understand the journey. They got my back. You know, if I want to vent about something, if I'm super stressed, I don't go talk to my mom. I message authors on Facebook because yeah, my mom will listen and my husband will listen, but they don't understand really, you know, other authors do. But what I was going to say about being brave and all that is I was not, and I have a lot of self-doubt. So I'm an introvert, like many of other authors tell me that I'm an introvert. I'm not comfortable, you know, I'm not comfortable getting out there and selling my book. And I remember back before I even started, I messaged Jay or Diane or I think it was Jay. And I said, oh, I cannot go to these dentist office. And I'm just so, they're going to just laugh at me and be like, why would I want your book? And Jay's like, look, if you don't sell your book, nobody else is going to. And I remember thinking, all right, that's very true. I have to be the salesperson. And when I started thinking about doing a children's book, I didn't think about that I would have to be a salesperson and a website designer and a financial planner and a marketer and a virtual, you know, Facebook, whatever. I didn't think about any of that stuff, but that's when you're self-published, that's you know, like all those titles are you. You're not just a writer, you're all of those titles. So I decided to just fake it and go out there and act like my book is the most awesome thing in the world and just put my fears aside and just go out and like I said, just introduce myself and be like, you know, I'm doing this. And if you say no, okay, thanks for your time. And at first I remember I would be upset. Like if people turn me down, I would think, oh, why am I doing this? And my book isn't good and people aren't going to want it. But then, you know, after you get turned down 1,000 times, you kind of
it gets easier.
Bother me anymore.
It gets easier.
So, but you know, it's business. I mean, some people aren't interested. You know what? That's not my audience. So whatever, you know, you have to find the right people and you just have to keep pushing and pushing. And if that's not your personality, then you're just going to have to fake it until it is your personality, or until you just get used to it. I mean, I'm still an introvert. I like talking to people and I'm friendly, but it drains me. And when my kids go to bed at night, I just kind of hole up and I get on the computer and I don't talk to anyone and I fill back up for the next day. And that's just what I have to do because I get drained throughout the day from getting out of my bubble and out of my comfort zone and all that.
I never would have guessed in a million years. It's so funny to hear that because you seem like on the exterior so bubbly and confident. Yeah. And it's amazing for you to share that part of your story because I think many of us feel the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And even things like, you know, if you have your books and you're doing a local event, I see a lot, like I've done a lot of local author events and the people there will sit behind their table and not talk to anyone. And then they'll be like, well, I didn't sell anything. And it's like, well, you're sitting behind your table. You're not approachable. So you're kind of intimidating and you're not, you know, you have to get up. So even though I felt stupid doing this and I really didn't want to, I get up from the table and I come around to the front and I hold my book and I have bookmarks too. And I have business cards and I'll hold my card and I'll say, I just say hi to everybody who walks past. I say, hi, I'm a local author. Do you want to look at my book? Because what's crazy is I have a custom made tablecloth that says, meet the author on it. But people still don't realize that I am the author. And we joke about it because Jay has a shirt that actually says, I am the author on it, because people do not, they think I'm selling somebody else's books or something. Because when I say, hey, I'm a local author, do you want to look at my book? They'll say, oh, you're an author? That is so cool. And then pretty soon they're coming in and they're looking at it, and they might not buy it, but hey, I got it into their hands. They're going to take my business card. I've gotten school visits that way. I've just made connections with people. Like, people want to hear, there's a lot of people out there who have wanted to write a book and they're curious to know your journey. And so just talking to those people too. And anyway, so you just have to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone, get up out of your chair, get out from behind your computer and start talking to people, start sharing in Facebook groups, build yourself a community, and just act like you're you believe in yourself, even if you don't right off the bat.
That's
self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yes. Yes. Great advice.
Okay, so what else did you?
Now that resonated with everybody. So let's just give it 5 minutes just to see if anybody has any questions or comments, and then let's switch over to maybe providing some marketing advice, because I still feel like, I mean, you are one of those that I look up to with regard to how you have hit the pavement, and just, you have done an amazing job with your marketing journey. And I'd love to hear more about that. But before we just transition to that, let's just open it up and to see if anybody has any questions. Guys, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question.
Stacy, I think I probably know the answer to this, since I know that you're going to be launching another Kickstarter in October. But do you feel like that was the best route to go? I'm planning to launch my first Kickstarter October 3rd, so I'm trying to learn everything I can. Do you think that was really the best way to get going as a new author?
Yes, for me it was, because I didn't have the funds. I mean, I could have, like I said, taken money out of savings, I guess, but I didn't want to take it out of my retirement if I didn't have to. And so I was lucky to have a lot of friends, like parents of the students at my school. I had been at my same school for 12 years, so I knew a lot of families. And then, like I said, I'm very active at church, so a lot of those people. And they backed my project, and they've been behind me from the get-go. So the Kickstarter was a great platform to get people to invest in my project, pre-order a book. So, and none of those people knew what Kickstarter was. So I basically just told them, you're basically giving me the money ahead of time, and then it's like you're pre-ordering a book. You give me the money ahead of time, and then I give you a book. But you're investing in my project. You're helping me kind of bring my book to life and get my book out in the world. Now, I could have just paid Rebecca the couple $1,000s for illustrations. I could have swung that, and I could have put the book on KDP. But I didn't know a lot about KDP at the time. And so I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could do the hardcover thing. Now, I know you guys, most of you probably aren't in Amazon Advantage. So if you go the hardcover route, you have a little bit more of a challenge to figure out what platform you're going to sell those from. So you can do, I don't know, have you talked about this at all, April?
Yeah, we're getting there. It's a lot more challenging now that Advantage is for sure.
So you can still sell through Amazon, but you have to, pay a fee for them to warehouse your books now, instead of just the Advantage thing where that's like consignment. Or you can sell from your own website, which a lot of people are successful at. It's just is a little bit harder because everyone shops on Amazon, and Amazon is a safe venue and a safe market, and they have the prime shipping. And so, it's a little bit trickier to sell the hardcovers. So if I was going to do it all over again, I don't honestly know if I would do hardcovers again or not. I mean, I love my hardcover books. I love the way they look. I think they're, you know, they look nice, they're going to hold up well. And for little kids, they're, you know, they hold up better than paperback. But they're expensive. I mean, every time I go to the printer, I have to shuck out $5,000 or $6,000. So, and then I have all these hardcover books in my garage, and I don't have a distribution center because I'm trying to save money. So my husband and I do it every week. We ship these out. And so it's just a lot. I mean, the print on demand, you know, you don't have to ship books. You don't have to store books. You don't have to pay the printer ahead of time. But you do make less money per book. So it's kind of, you know, pros and cons to think about. But yeah, for me at the time, since I had Amazon Advantage as a choice, I felt like Kickstarter was good. And, you know, even if you have a paperback book, Kickstarter can be a good way to just pay your illustrator and to pay your marketing and your editing fees too. You set a goal for $3,000 or $4,000 to pay off those illustrations, and just, you know, to succeed at your Kickstarter, obviously make sure that you have the backing, like you have the following ahead of time. You know, you see people launch Kickstarters and then they're like, well, I didn't make it and I don't know why, and it's like, well, you have like, you know, 10 followers on Instagram or something, and no one knows about your Kickstarter. So you have to really talk it up at least a month in advance that I'm doing this and I'm really excited, and you share in progress illustrations and share your book cover and talk about the theme of your book and what it's going to be about and what people are going to get. And I mean, not really selling it, but kind of just talking around it so that you can kind of hype it up ahead of time. I hope that answered your question. I know I kind of went off on a tangent there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think there's one best way for new authors, but it feels right for me where I'm at. So, but I just wanted your perspective. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a couple of questions, Stacy, in the chat. So Ashley's asking, the thought of speaking at school seems like a nightmare to me. Tonight was rough just getting out of my comfort zone, because she was a speaker before you and she did a little bit of a presentation for us. What do you do so that you don't make yourself nauseous from nerves before meetings?
So can I share my screen, April?
Yes, we'd love that.
So I'm a teacher, so I don't get nervous talking in front of kids. I do get nervous talking in front of adults. Not anymore really, but I used to. So I find that for myself, and this is probably true for a lot of you, the more prepared I am, the less nervous I am. So if I'm doing a presentation or a school visit, when I first started doing school visits, I kid you not, I had scripted out, I had typed out exactly what I was going to say to those kids, word for word, questions I was going to ask them, my background. I typed everything out and I had it on a sheet of paper and I brought it with me to the school, and I created a slideshow. So I had something to look at. I was going to show it to you guys if I can find it. Here it is. And this is just on Google Slides, so that way I don't have to bring my laptop to schools. And I'm doing a lot of virtual school visits right now, and I just do the same thing as what I'm doing right now. I share my screen with the teacher and the students, and then I just do the PowerPoint or the slideshow right from my screen here, just like I'm doing right now for you guys. So so I talk about, no, it's not going to work. I talk about my books I wrote when I was a kid. I talk about, you know, when you're an author, the first thing you do is get your idea. My kids are my inspiration. Here's my rough draft. So I kind of go through the writing process with them. Now, if they're younger, like preschool, kindergarten, first grade, I go through that a little bit quickly. With the older kids, I will ask them, what's the next step? What do you think I did next? And even virtually, they'll raise their hand and I'll just call on them, or I'll have their teacher call on them. Then I show them my illustrator, and she was good enough to send me all of these in progress things so that I could put them in here and actually show the kids the steps to the illustrations and then her illustration process. And then I show them, I was able to go to the printer and watch them make my books. So I kind of talk about the printing process too. And the printer let me bring home my illustrations like on these big sheets of paper. So then I can tell the kids like exactly how the books were made. And then I read my book. And then I talk about my next stuff that I did next. Like I made my second book. And then, so anyway, my point with this is I had this whole PowerPoint created, but I also had my notes. And then once I did this a few times, I didn't need the notes anymore. But yeah, the first couple times I needed the notes. I would rehearse what I was going to say, take a deep breath, say a prayer. But yeah, the teaching background definitely helps because I'm not afraid to, I'm pretty comfortable going and standing by a kid who's misbehaving, or, I hold my hand up a lot to signal that they should raise their hand. It's the classroom management stuff. I've been in the classroom for a long time, so I can do that. Virtually it's different, but it's fine. I mean, I had a group last week that there were like 200 kids on here, and they were so rude. They were chatting the whole time and saying how boring it was. And they were like, oh, I just want to go do something else. And I was like, you guys, I'm like, I don't know you, but this is really rude. Can you stop chatting, please? And they did. But I mean, anyway, so I think with practice and with practice and with being prepared is how I help with the nerves. So I practice it a lot, and I do as much preparing as I can.
Yeah, and Ashly, nobody knows how nervous you are. It doesn't come through at all. You came through as very confident, in what you did and what you went through was beautiful. I never would have even realized you were nervous, except that you shared that with us.
Oh, well, thank you. I am like a huge introvert, so the thought of getting out there with any of this stuff is just a complete nightmare. Yeah. I want it to go viral and not have to do anything or talk.
Oh, I know. I get it. Yeah, I totally get it. When I first started, the one that made me the most nervous ever, I had to do I didn't have to, but I agreed to do I Love to Read Month kickoff. What do you call that? When you have all the kids in the gym at the same time, that.
An assembly.
Yes, an assembly. So they had the entire school in the gym. There was probably like 900 kids. And then they're all up. You guys are just like, oh my gosh, I'm hyperventilating just thinking about it. So, and I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm telling myself all the way. It was like an hour drive. The whole way there, I'm starting to sweat. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be fine. It's no big deal. And I had my PowerPoint, but I had the principal was like, all right, you have 20 minutes. And I want you to inspire these kids to read. I'm like, oh God. I was like, okay.
No problem.
I basically just I went out there and I was shaking and sweating, and I don't even remember what I said, because when you're that nervous, I think you just kind of black out and you just kind of talk. But they all listened, and nobody was rude, and they clapped at the end. So I was like, all right, bye. And they bought a few books, so it was fine, but it was just crazy. I mean, that made me very nervous, but I acted like I didn't care. I walked in, I introduced myself. I was like, hey guys, how's everybody doing? This is I Love to Read Month. It's so fun. You're basically, you have to look at it like, okay, I'm acting. This is a role I'm playing. I'm not nervous. This is, I'm cool and I'm confident, and just tell yourself that, and you can kind of trick your brain, and it sounds silly, but it works.
Mm-hmm. So another question here. Serena's asking, you mentioned you have 2 paperback books. Why did you decide not to do hardcovers for those?
Yeah, so 2 things, money and time. So the paperback books, the hardcover books took me a year for each one, because my illustrator really spends a lot of time on these hardcover books. She does full color, full page illustrations for the hardcover books, and she takes 5 or 6 months to do the illustrations. And then the printer, because of COVID, is taking even longer. It used to take 6 weeks. Now they're up to 10 or 11 weeks. So taking 3 months, almost 3 months at the printer. And so it was taking me a year to get these out. And I was like, man, this is taking a long time. Plus it costs an extra $5,000 or $6,000 to pay the printer. And even though, yes, I've been an author now for a couple years. Yes, I've sold a lot of books. All the money that I'm making from selling books is going right back into my books. So I'm not at the point where I'm comfortable enough to be spending, $6,000 every few months putting out more hardcover books. So the paperback book that I just published last month, this one only cost me a couple $1,000s with illustrations, and that's it. Yeah, I paid $50 for an editor. KDP, of course, is free, and I do the ebook myself, and I didn't have to wait for a printer. So it's like it took me 5 weeks to get this thing done. Up on KDP, boom. So I can totally see why once people start doing KDP, they're like, I'm not doing hardcovers anymore. This is way easier doing KDP, and it is a lot easier. But I do have people asking me all the time, like, where are you going to make a hardcover of that? Because they have my first 3 hardcovers and they want the other ones in hardcover. And so now I'm kind of stuck where I started with hardcover, and now so eventually I probably will do hardcover for all of them. I just don't have the funds and I don't want to wait. It's kind of ironic because my book's about being patient and I'm not. So time and money, those are the reasons.
So in hindsight then, Stacy, do you think that if you were publishing your first book and Advantage wasn't available, that you would try to do KDP paperback as opposed to hardcover?
Well, it kind of depends on how much time and how much work you want to put into it. So working full-time as a teacher, I'm not working this year. I'm home with my kids, which I'm very lucky. I took a leave. My kids are here part-time doing distance learning, but then Mondays and Tuesdays they're at school. So I'm able to do stuff for my books on Mondays and Tuesdays. But I was teaching full-time when I put out my first 2 books. And it was so stressful. I mean, I would teach all day long. I would get home, deal with my little kids till 8 o'clock. I'd be exhausted, but then I would work on my book stuff from like 8 to 11, say goodnight to my husband, who I didn't hardly talk to in those days, and then go to bed and start it the next day all over again. It was just like insane. So, if you have the space to store hardcover books, and you have the money, or you want to run a Kickstarter campaign to be able to pay for the hardcover books, and you have the time to sell the hardcover books, because you're going to have to sell them yourself. You can't just, rely on print on demand, because all of a sudden you have 1,000 hardcover books sitting in your office or your garage, and they're not going to sell themselves. So, and now with COVID, it's even harder, because you can't physically, at least we can't here in Minnesota, we can't physically go into schools and do school visits anymore. Last year I did a school visit at least twice a week, and I would sell at least 50 books a time. This year I'm doing virtual visits for free, and I'm maybe selling like 5 books a visit, if that. Some visits I haven't sold any. So yeah, so it's you just have to kind of think about, where am I in my journey? Do I have another full-time job? Yes, I do. How much time am I willing to spend on trying to, and it's not just even selling your hardcover books, it's shipping them. I have to go out to the garage, box up books, print out labels, drive to the post office, send them to Amazon, and then if people order off your website, you have to put their addresses on there and ship them out. And so when you have the hardcover books, you are the distribution center, as well as the warehouse and the manager of all those books. And you have to have the money up front. Now, like I said before, I like the hardcover books. You make more money per book, but you have to be willing to then be the distribution center and the warehouse for those books. So would I do hardcover if I wasn't in Amazon Advantage? Oh gosh, I don't know. That's a hard question, because I love my hardcover books, and I mean, I have author friends who do FBA, and so they'll send, it's fulfillment by Amazon. So they'll send Amazon like a box of books at a time, and Amazon stores the books there and then ships them out as they sell. And that seems to be working fine for them. They have to pay a fee to Amazon for warehousing the books. So I'm not really sure, I don't know, April, if you know, but I'm not really sure what the fee is for FBA. And then there's Seller Central, which is you shipping the books from your house, but using Amazon as your store. So like if you don't have a website, you list your books on Amazon, but Amazon doesn't ship them, you do, but then you lose the advantage of Prime, because you're listed as the seller, not Amazon. So I mean,
and recently we've started talking with Lakeside Creates, and they actually are offering kind of a print on demand. So they are a hardcover printing, mom and pop shop that will, do 1 book or 10 books or 100 books. And they'll also list it on Amazon and fulfill for you if you want that. So I'm starting to work to try to get some comparative financials for if they were to do that, because I think, it may be a better option, or at least a competitive option, to be able to make more per book and to have gorgeous hardcovers with all of the bells and whistles that we'd like to have. And maybe you won't make as much as if you ordered 3,500 copies from China, but you could probably make more than you can with FBA and not have to store books in your garage and do all that other stuff. So I'm working with them and also with Authorpreneur Central to try to get some really good options for the authors that I work with, and just be able to share the numbers so that they can make an educated decision. So it should be interesting to pull all that together, but I'd be glad to share it with you once I do have it, Stacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know Ingram Spark does print on demand hardcover too, correct?
They do. Yeah, they do. You can make a few dollars a book, which is, it's a little bit less than what you'd make with your paperback.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still an option. It's a viable option. What I don't like with Ingram Spark is that the quality is not nearly as good as you'll get from a traditional printer, like one of the other two that I mentioned. So, I'm looking at the clock here, I think I want to switch over now to kind of having you share a little bit about the marketing stuff that you do, and think about this new group of authors who is, again, struggling with some of the same things that you just talked about that you've been through, and starting to think about what they can be doing now for marketing. And I'm also very cognizant of the fact that you have opened and started some courses and things around marketing. So feel free to share that, because I think that those things will also benefit this work group. So feel free, and we'll go through with questions. We'll let Stacy go through some of this, and then we'll pause again for questions as we get closer to maybe the 10 before the hour.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are free to message me on Facebook and ask me anything, and I'm certainly willing to answer. If I don't get to all of your questions, just feel free to find me. It's just Stacy, Stacy, and then my maiden name, which is super long, but and then Bauer. So if maybe April can share my social media info, but yeah, feel free to ask me questions about my books or whatever you're wondering about. So this is my Instagram account. I do the majority of my marketing on Instagram and Facebook. So like I said before, I did not have an Instagram account when I first started. So I started that the summer before I published my book. So I published my book in April. So I started my Instagram account in July previous summer, and I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't even know what a hashtag was, and that's just sick and sad. But yeah, that's how out of it I was back then. I wasn't on Facebook a lot. I had, the typical family and some close friends following me, and just went on there to post pictures of my kids and whatever. So I started a business Facebook page. And so, but I'm a big believer in bringing your audience along for the ride. So I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to share anything ahead of time because, somebody might take my idea or steal my story. And it's like, well, you know what? They can do that after your book is out too. So I think that, in my opinion, I like to build up to the launch by sharing. So I'm trying to get down to the bottom of my Instagram thing, and it's not going very quickly, but I'll share like in progress illustrations like this. Here's another one that doesn't have the words yet, but it's just an upcoming illustration. My audience is moms and teachers. So I share a lot of memes that have to do with being a mom and being a teacher. I'll just go on Google and I'll type in funny teacher meme, and I'll find some that I think are funny, and I'll just post them, and I'll tell a funny story about being a teacher. So I post pictures of me doing events and school visits. I do a lot of giveaways, and I get a lot of followers through those giveaways. one thing that you should do when you're getting ready to launch your book, even right now, because it might take a while, is to email your local news. So just go on Google and type in local newspapers, local TV stations to your area. And I found like 15 newspapers and a few local TV stations, put them all in one email. And, you know, people always ask me, oh, do you have a media kit? And do you have a form letter? And I'm like, no. I just sent out this email that said, it was really informal, and it just said, hi, my name's Stacy. I'm a local teacher, and I'm publishing my first book, and this has been my childhood dream, and I would love to be featured in your newspaper, blah, blah, blah. Here's my book cover. And I'm doing like, this was the first time I did it was when I launched my first Kickstarter campaign. So I said, I'm launching a Kickstarter campaign in February. I would love to be featured or whatever. And I had 3 newspapers and 2 TV stations get back to me and actually write about me and have me on their program. And let me tell you, if you think it's nerve-wracking going up in front of a school, try being on TV. That I almost had a heart attack. I was so nervous. Oh my gosh. But it was funny because in the TV studio, nobody's there. It's just you. So it's like me, my daughter, and the anchors, and then everything is run with remotes. So there's like nobody in the studio. The cameras just all run on their own. So it was kind of weird. So I kind of tricked myself into thinking that I was just at home on my couch, even though I wasn't. So, so contact local news, get some, and then, you know, a lot of people may not read the newspaper anymore, but it makes for a really great post on social media. So even if your newspaper is a local newspaper that only goes out to 100 people, you can take a picture of that article, post it on Instagram and Facebook and be like, look at me, I'm in the news, I'm in the paper, this is so awesome. And people just think that's so cool that you're in the newspaper. Same thing with being on TV. Like, yeah, not everyone will catch your show, but hey, you were on TV. That's pretty cool. So I would say half the things I post on Instagram are about my books, and half of it. See, here's a newspaper article that was written about me, 2 different ones actually that I posted about. And half of the things I post are to pull in my audience. So funny memes, or I don't do a lot of posts about my family because I want this to be a business page. I post about them a little bit because they're who my main characters are based off of. So here are my kids right here. So I do a few posts, but me reading at the local library. This was my first author event ever. This is me with my childhood dentist. I actually found him and went and gave him a copy of my book. I don't get a lot of Kickstarter backers from Instagram. 75% of my backers come from Facebook, but I still post about it on here. See here, this is a little video of Rebecca coloring. She sent this to me. So ask your illustrator for some photos of them working on your book. Like, they can take a screenshot of them coloring your book, and you can post that on Facebook. Ask your illustrator for the sketches that they're working on, or ask them for some in-progress stuff or whatever, and you can post all that. I posted, what else did I post here? I'm getting down to when I first started. So this is my first ever post on Instagram. I only had my character. So I posted this probably in, November, and I should have started before then even. But I posted her and I said, look at my book character, you know, here's my whatever. Then I posted my first book I wrote when I was a kid. This is a photo that Rebecca took of her working on the book cover. Here's some more in progress stuff. I hired somebody from Fiverr to make a 3D mock-up of my book. Now I know how to do it myself, so I don't have to hire someone anymore. But back then I didn't know how to do anything. So they created this, and this is just kind of neat because it shows what it's going to look like when it's done. Then the newspaper articles, posting here's Jay and Diane's books. My author picture that I had my father-in-law take of me on the deck because I'm too cheap to pay for a professional photographer. More books that I liked. And then this is all my Kickstarter stuff. Me and my daughter on the news. So you can see that I kind of started with a lot of stuff about my book. And then as I learned more about Instagram and hashtags and tagging people, then I got more into, okay, what is my audience going to want to read about? Like, what kind of page would I want to follow as a teacher and a mom and an author? Well, I love funny posts that I can relate to. So I try to post, every other post I make is something that I think people would think is funny, or they might say, oh, that's happened to me too, or something. And then the other posts I do are stuff to do with being an author. So I've learned that you can use 30 hashtags per post. I try to use as many as I can. If you can't use all 30, it's not that big of a deal. I use at least 10, I would say. And then you guys might already know all this stuff. So if you do, I'm sorry for repeating information. So when you're searching for hashtags, it will tell you how many posts are in that hashtag. So I typically don't use ones that have more than in the 100,000. So if it has more than 1 million posts, I don't use it, because my post is not going to show up when it has that many. So I try to use a variety of like bigger posts that have maybe like a 500,000 hashtag, the hashtag, and then some that are smaller and some in the middle. And then you can tag up to, I think, 20 people per post. So I tag people I don't know sometimes. I don't want to bother people, so I only do it like once, but I'll tag Amazon, I'll tag my illustrator, I will tag some mom groups that are out there. Just do your research and find maybe some, if your audience is grandparents, find maybe there's a grandparent magazine or something you can tag in your post. Just try to tag some people and get your book out there. And then I also share my posts to my Instagram stories, and I put the tap thing on there, so that the call to action, they can tap on it, it takes them right to my post. So that's kind of how I built my Instagram up from 0, and now I'm up over 5,000 followers, just with a lot of interesting posts, and then sharing just I need to do better at the stories, because you can do a lot of really cool things with stories, like polls and questions and videos and all that, and I haven't done that yet, but it's on my list of things to do.
This looks like it could be a full-time job just to handle Instagram.
And then, I probably spend an hour a day on Instagram alone. So I spend an hour. So you can I do this when I'm prepared, when I actually have things planned out. If you go to Facebook Creator Studio, you can actually schedule your posts ahead of time with Facebook and Instagram here at the top. So when I know what I'm going to post and I'm actually prepared, I will schedule a few posts ahead of time. And then I'm like, oh, I have a post scheduled, yay. But I forget about it, or I don't have time, or whatever. I'm not prepared enough to do that. But you can schedule posts in here, and it will tell you how many likes and comments it got. So here's all my Instagram posts. Some are scheduled and some aren't, and whatever. So that helps me. So on Instagram, I spend time posting, and I spend probably at least 45 minutes engaging with other people's content. So you have to get out there and like and comment on other people's stuff, or you're not going to get very many followers. So the more time you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So hashtag homeschooling moms, those are my audience. So I'll go to hashtag homeschooling moms, I'll go in there and I'll find some, and I'll just start liking and commenting, like, oh, my kids do this too, or, oh, where do you guys live? It looks warm there, or, oh, that looks like a fun activity. And I'll like their last 5 posts. And then pretty soon I've got like 5 new followers. So, not everyone's going to follow you, but a percentage of them do when you do that. Mm-hmm. And then Facebook, the business page on Facebook, I spend a lot of time on Facebook every day, obviously, probably too much. Okay, so here's my Facebook business manager. So I just had the personal Facebook page when I started, and then I created on when I was in my personal page, I did add a page, and I added a business page. And that's where you get all the insights and everything like this. So you can run ads. You can create a store. I didn't do that because my stuff's on Amazon. You can post. So here's my business Facebook page is Cami Kangaroo and Wyatt 2. I had it as Stacy C. Bauer, but I changed it based on another author, Nikki's advice, because I do spend a lot of time, not a lot, but probably a couple hours a week joining and looking into Facebook groups that have to do with my books. So like parenting, teaching, values, positive parenting, things like that. And I'll share from my personal page, I'll share posts to those groups and they'll say Cami Kangaroo and Wyatt too. So, so here's my business page. So this here, I do a lot of marketing just right off the bat. So if you think about it, all of my stuff is right here. And then here is my latest thing I'm working on. This changes all the time. So before this, I had a picture of this book that had just come out and it said new release, order now. And then this button is my call to action, shop now, and it goes right to Amazon.
That's brilliant. That's
now,
really brilliant. I love that.
So now I have the countdown to Christmas thing I'm doing for my Kickstarter campaign. And I was trying to get this changed to my website so they could sign up for my website, and it was not working. So I'm gonna, as soon as I get off with you guys, I'm gonna try that again. But you can edit your button and you can change it to go to whatever web. It can say send a message. It can say make a booking, contact you, shop with you, learn more about your business. Maybe I'll just you can do learn more and then it can go to your website, or you can do shop now, whatever you want your call to action to be. So these graphics, this graphic was made in Canva. So if you haven't used Canva yet, Canva is like my best friend. And Canva has a Facebook cover graphic template, and it fits perfectly in here when you make it in there. You would just upload it right in here, and it fits really well and it looks nice. Okay.
Stacy, if you cannot change, you may try to delete button and then just create it again.
Oh yeah, I could do that. That's a good idea. Thank you. Okay, so then I actually post on Instagram more than Facebook. Sometimes I will, when I'm posting on Instagram, if you go into Creator Studio, like I showed you guys, or if I do it from my phone, I can post to Facebook at the same time because I have the two accounts linked. So that saves me a step. So like this post right here is posted on Instagram and Facebook. This one's also posted in both places. So it just kind of depends if I want both places to see the post or not, then I'll just have them both. Something you can do to get more engagement is to boost a post. So if you have a really important post, like about an upcoming Kickstarter or a new book that's coming out, you can boost the post for like $2 or $3. When you click this, it will show you, you can have a button that says buy now. I'm not going to have anything. You can choose your audience, or you can just do people who like your page. You can kind of decide who you want it to show it to, and then you pick your budget. I used to do like $2 for one day because I don't want Facebook to spend a ton of money. And usually all it does is get you more likes and more engagement, and then make sure you respond to all these comments, which I obviously haven't done. So I need to go do that tonight, because you should be looking on your business page every day and engaging with people who are commenting on your posts. Mm-hmm. When I first started, I did this invite friends, and I invited all of my personal Facebook friends over to my new author page. And I still will do that every week or so. I'll invite my friends, because I'll have new Facebook friends. So then I'll invite them to this page. Something else that's good that Facebook has is if you go in under your likes and you go to all, there might be some people who liked it that aren't following you at the moment. And if you click invite, I think I already invited everybody here, but if you click, it'll say invite in dark. And if you click that, then they have a chance to like your Facebook page and then follow you. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that every time you post, Facebook is going to show them your stuff, because they're not, because Facebook wants you to spend money, and they also don't want to bother your followers. They're like, well, maybe this person doesn't want to see Stacy's book cover, even though they're following me. You'd think they would, but so if you boost it, they'll show it to more people. And the more people that like and comment, the more people they'll show it to. So it's kind of hard because you have to get people to like and comment so that they'll show it to more people. So sometimes it helps to have an author pod where you have a group of people that are liking and commenting on your posts. When you post it once in a while, you can say, hey, can you go like this one and comment on it, because then Facebook. So when I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign, I usually have a group of people I call my cheerleaders. It's like a launch team. And I will let them know. So last time I did it, it was on Messenger, and I put them all in a group on Messenger, and I just let them know, hey, I have a new post. And they went over here and they liked and commented on it. And then it kind of got more engagement with other people because they were liking and commenting on my posts. So that helps. You can also run ads. This is a whole nother thing, so I'm not going to go into it a ton, but so Facebook ads really, in my experience, aren't for making sales. They're for building up an audience, bringing eyes to your page, and directing people where you want them to go. Okay, so if you want people to subscribe to your website, for example, I'm collecting email addresses right now for my Kickstarter campaign. So one of the ads I'm running is called a lead ad. And what this is doing is collecting email addresses. So what I did is I created a slideshow of my book covers, and I said, sign up below to receive freebies and discounts from this fun, relatable children's book series. And people would give their first name and their email address. And I just started this a couple days ago, and I already have 61 people signed up. But I had to spend the money. You know, it's like $15 to get 61 people. So you kind of have to decide what's your budget. My Facebook ads are set at $5 a day because I figure I can afford $5 a day. And if I decide I can't, I'll just turn off the ad. But for right now, leading up to my Kickstarter, I'm going to keep running these lead ads so I can get people subscribing to my website. And these are people that are interested in my stuff. I mean, they saw my book covers, they think they're cute. Once they subscribe, I send them some free printables I made on Canva. And then I am also sending out emails once a week now about my countdown to Christmas stuff, which includes discounts and giveaways and printables and things like that. So you can run lead ads to get email addresses. You can run, you can just run a normal ad and direct people to Amazon. You can say, oh, here's a brand new book about, you know, do you have trouble with your kids sneaking treats? Check out this book, Candy Kangaroo's Too Many Sweets, blah, blah, blah. And then you have your buy now, you know, your shop now call to action button, and that leads to Amazon. And I haven't found that I've gotten a lot of sales that way, but I do spend less money on Amazon ads. So I think I get some traffic that way and a few sales. But it's, you know, all those people that like my ads, I invite to my Facebook page. So they're all potential buyers and they're all potential followers of mine. So you can boost Instagram posts also. If you have an Instagram post that you want more people to see, it's the same thing. There's a spot in your Instagram business account where you can boost a post.
Stacy, am I remembering correctly? Did you put together a list for authors about things that they could be doing for marketing, like all the different marketing activities like this?
Yep. So if you go to my website, which is just stacycbauer.com, and I love my website now because I didn't make it. It actually looks good. And you go to my blog, and then if you go down to the very bottom, you'll see specific blog categories. I have publishing tips, marketing, and Kickstarter campaigns. So, and all of these are just what I've learned and my experiences over the last few years. So if you click on marketing, I just wrote this the other day, 60 tricks and tips for publishing and marketing your books. The business of self-publishing, I wrote that last year. I have a year of being published, 2 years on the journey, marketing do's and don'ts from someone with no marketing background. So all of these are posts about marketing. I also have the self-publishing school for authors. So if you go there, you'll get, this is my publishing company, Hop Off the Press. and you'll see my courses here, which include this. This is like everything I've learned about everything. So it's a lot. This is how to add Amazon categories and how to find categories. This is all about how you can use ebook promotions to get reviews and to get sales on Amazon. And then I have a Kickstarter campaign course right here that just tells what I do before I run a Kickstarter, during and after. And then this one is free. This is just me talking about how I got started on my journey and advice I would give you to get started. And then when you go back to my website, actually it's probably up here. So I think I have it open in a new window. If you scroll down on the first page, here I have a free publishing checklist. So you just click this, and if you subscribe to my website, I will send you a publishing checklist that I created that has everything that I have found in my experience needs to get done before you publish. And then, you know, you can always schedule a consult too if you want more one-on-one advice from me. But
what a great service to authors and the author community, Stacy. You are a wealth of information. This is great.
So can you think of anything else that you I do most of my marketing on Facebook and Instagram. I do a little on Twitter. If you're on Twitter a lot and you have a following, great, use it. Twitter is kind of the same as Instagram. You use hashtags and you tag people. I have a few hundred followers. I don't spend a lot of time on there, so I don't have a huge following because that's not where I put my time. But I've heard from some authors that Twitter is good, so you could look into that. LinkedIn, I'm on there too. I don't do a lot. You know, I kind of get gung ho about doing everything, and then I overwhelm myself and I do nothing.
Right.
So I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. Ooh, that's a great marketing idea. I'm going to do that. Ooh, I'm going to do that too. And then pretty soon I'm on Pinterest, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And then I'm like, I cannot, and my head feels like it's going to explode because I'm on 10 different social media platforms and I can't manage it. So I need to scale back and be like, it's okay if you're not showing your books on TikTok. Your audience probably isn't on TikTok anyway. It's okay if you're not on LinkedIn. It's okay if you're, you know, not promoting YouTube. You know, find the thing that you think you're going to be most passionate and is going to come most naturally to you, and get behind that. And you know, the numbers show that most people are on Facebook and Instagram. So those are the two I decided to focus on.
That's great advice. We'll open it up for questions and see how if others are have any additional areas that they'd like filled in. Ruth, you had a question about the business page. Is the business page different than a regular page?
Yes. So you mean for Facebook or for Instagram?
I think we've got questions on both.
But both, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So yeah, so the difference is, okay, how do I get rid of this chat now? Here we go. And I'll do this. Okay, so on Instagram and Facebook, the difference is between a business and a personal one is you can't advertise, the advertising part of it and the insights. So if you're on Instagram, I guess I'll have to open it up again. If you have a personal Instagram account, you're not going to be able to see insights on your posts. So you won't be able to see things like how many people liked your post, how many people did your post reach. And I don't know if I can see this from here. I have to try to show you from my phone. I don't think I can see it on here. Yeah, I can't, of course. So I'll try to show you from my phone really quick. So on the app, on Instagram, when you have a business page, you can go to any of your posts here and it'll say promote. That's how you boost your post. And it will also say view insights right here. And you don't get that on a personal Instagram page. So if I click view insights, this is going to show me that 0 people saved it, 1 person shared it somehow, 29 people commented on it, and this many people liked it. This many people visited my profile because of this post, and it reached this many people. Instagram showed this many people because of the engagement it was getting. And then if I scroll up, I can even see more information about impressions and followers and things like that. So you don't get any of that stuff if you just have a personal page. You can also on Instagram click on these top 3 bars up in the corner, and you can go to insights in here too.
So in other words, it's the way you set it up.
Yeah. So yep, you can just you just make it a business page. So where does it say that?
And is a business page completely public?
Yeah. Yep.
So you don't have to, like, when people request be following you, you don't have to approve them. They just.
They just follow
Okay.
you. Yeah. Anybody can see it. I don't know. Somewhere on here it says make it a business page or personal, and I can't remember where it is, but yeah. And there's a lot of stuff you can do here. You can sell from Instagram. I haven't been able to figure that out yet, which is really annoying to me because I've spent hours trying to figure it out and I just can't. But anyway, so and same with the Facebook business. So the person, here's the personal page right here. So here's my personal page.
Okay.
So it's Stacy Shop and Horse Bauer. Shop and Horse is my maiden name. And so when you're creating and I'm going to try to remember how to do this. I haven't done it for 3 years. So when you're creating a new page, you just, come on, computer. Maybe it's right here, create page. So when you go to create on your personal Facebook page and you go to page, it gives you the option to do a business page. So then you would just click here and then it'll just do, it takes you through it step by step. And it even connects your Instagram right here. When you get started, it'll say, there'll be a thing on the left that says connect an Instagram account. And if you click that, it will find you on Instagram and you can connect it right from there. It's pretty slick. So it works pretty well. And then that's how you can go in here and you can view, again, all your insights to all your posts. Same thing. You can see how old are the people who are engaging with you? Are they women or men? What part of the world are they from? Are they moms? Are they teachers? It actually tells you some information about who's engaging with you, which is kind of neat. So
do you know if you have, so I have a page, but I don't know if it's a business page. How would I be able to tell? I can't remember when I signed up for it.
Okay. Let's see. Where's my thing again now?
And Jenna was just mentioning for Instagram, you can change your personal page to business by going into edit profile and it will say switch to professional.
Thank you. I knew it was there somewhere. I couldn't remember where it was. Though.
Say that again, April. What
Jenna,
do you do?
This was from Jenna. She says, go to your personal page. Oh, wait a minute. Edit profile. And it will say switch to professional account.
So if you go into Instagram, go to your page.
Oh, this is for Instagram.
Edit profile.
And you probably already have a business account, right?
I do, but you must not be able to switch back then once you change it, huh?
Probably not. Yeah, probably leaves it that way. Because that's where I want everybody to go.
So what is your, so for me, here's my personal page. When I type in my business page up here and I click on that, it says I mean, it has like all my business stuff on it. Like it says, you know, your business, and you can just tell it's a business page because it has boost to post, reach people, automated ads. So, you know what I mean? Like you can tell the difference between that and just my personal page, which just has, you know, my family and stuff. Something to do too is to make sure that you have all your information on your personal page. So my website's here, my Instagram's here, my publishing company, my here's my author business, my author Facebook page. That way, if people are like, oh, here's your series page, they can find you just by going to your personal Facebook. So a lot of people, I didn't do that at first either. And then here's my website up here too. So just make sure you have all that information right there.
That's great. That's a great idea.
So I'm wondering if it says here, because it does say your pages. Business manager.
Okay, let me look
Manage
at
pages.
Yeah, and some things.
Oh, here, manage pages. These are my pages.
Yeah. And some things on Instagram you have to do from a phone versus a computer, which is a pain. But we can dig into that a little bit more and play around with it. This has been really helpful, and I know we're past our end time. We're about at quarter after. So I just want to say thank you, Stacy. This has been so amazing. And I encourage everyone who is on and listening to this afterwards to go and follow Stacy. Go subscribe to her blog. What an amazing resource for authors. And check out those courses because you're going to learn something. You know, I love just subscribing to courses and learning a little bit of something new. You're going to learn stuff in this course about marketing. We're going to bring other speakers in. Lori Wright will talk about it. Stacy has a wealth of knowledge. I think that the more we can absorb, the more we're going to grow and learn and continue to be better within our marketing journey. Even if we have one little tidbit of information we learn from each person that we engage with and each speaker we bring in, then we're all getting a little bit better as we move forward. So thank you, Stacy. It's always a pleasure having you here. I will be glad to share this recording with you as well, and we'll be posting it on YouTube with your permission for others who are needing to go back and watch the replay.
Yep, that sounds great. Thanks, you guys. And like I said, if you have any questions I didn't get to, feel free to find me on Facebook or email me through my website, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
You're awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everybody.